here's what I'm sick and tired of. I'm sick and tired of all these white conservatives, these white Republicans, standing up, yelling DEI, how they're against DEI, when they a bunch of liars and won't even admit to the reality of who DEI actually is helping. Now, listen, we look at contracts and other programs like that. The reality is, yes, is it helping a few black folks, a few Latinos and others, but overwhelmingly the folk who are getting hooked up with DEI are white women. But when you talk about why do you even have DEI in the first place, it's because you largely have white men who wouldn't do right and actually pick folk by merit. They would just keep picking the same folk who look like them, who go to the country club, who play golf, who play tennis, and the same thing. Well, a Texas state senator, they were debating this bill on the floor, and they've been debating this a while. When I was in Austin a few weeks ago being honored as an outstanding Texan by the Texas Legislative Black Caucus, I popped in and they were having a discussion on the floor. Well, here they were having this discussion, and thank God, finally, you had somebody who looked a white Republican in his eye and said what needed to be said. Roll it.
You don't believe there should be 40% Latinos in executive director positions instead of 2%, not even 2%, just 2%.
I believe we should be making these decisions based on merit, not based on the color of our skin or our sex or our ethnicity.
I'm really horrible at math. That's why I went on to law school, members. 2 Latino executive directors, that's got to be less than, that's like a 1.5% of these 135 officers. And we're 40% of the population. You don't think that my folks are qualified enough to do the same job as their white counterparts?
Senator, I don't know where you're getting that. This bill says we should treat everyone the same, regardless of their race, regardless of their sex, regardless of their ethnicity.
But we don't, are we? We're not treating everybody the same. 120 white guys have the job where white women don't have the job, black men and black women don't have the job, brown women don't have the job. Somebody decided in this building, in the powers that be, these commissions, that these white men were the way we wanted to go. And that's not racism to you?
Senator, I don't want to move backwards. I want to move forwards. I want to move toward that society where we're not decided based on race or sex or ethnicity.
Okay, well, what about a quota system right now, today, where we had a merit-based quota system, where we said, we're going to do you on merit? What if Senator Miles puts up an amendment that says, is it going to be merit-based? I think we're going to see an amendment like that from someone in this room today. And what if there was an amendment to the amendment that says, okay, well, let's have a quota so that these agencies could be represented by people of color, qualified people of color, to the percentage of the population in this state. What's wrong with that?
Senator, the most qualified person for the job, regardless of their race, regardless of their sex, without regard to their ethnicity, that's who we want. That's who the people of Texas need to be able to hire.
As long as white men are doing the hiring.
See? Thank you. I'm glad somebody non-black called it like it is, because every time we have one of these debates, I'm just going to be real clear, y'all, because this is I remember when Senator Chris Murphy and other Democrats, they were all standing around, dancing around, they sitting here trying to, no, let's not use the word diversity, let's not use inclusion, let's not use this here. Man, call this thing what it is. These folks want to deny what's in our faces because the reality is they really believe that when they see somebody black, they see somebody who's Latino, they see somebody who's Asian, if they see even a white woman, in their minds, if you are not a white man, then you did not get the job. Y'all notice they never call a white man the DEI hire. Matter of fact, do this here. Y'all get this queued up control room. I was supposed to do it yesterday. I'm going to show y'all a grossly unqualified white man who Donald Trump appointed to a job, and the questions he was asked was stunning, and not one Republican in Congress said, why is this man even appointed? Joining us right now is Texas State Senator Roland Gutierrez. Glad to have you here. Senator, I mean, first of all, thank you. Thank you for just putting it out there That man sat there and was like, where are you getting these 120 white men from? He completely acted like they didn't exist. But let me focus on the little speck of color.
No, that's right. I mean, Roland, thank you for having me on. Listen, we've been dealing with this bullshit in Texas for years, and it never stops. Session after session, we hear more and more of their crazy racist bills, and yet we don't ever go out and fix the real things that are hurting people in our communities of color. We don't early child care development. I mean, hunger is an issue still in this state. I mean, shit, we got 450 kids with measles in this state. Housing issues, you name it, healthcare, all of it. Those are the real problems that are affecting us, and yet these guys want to tell us that they want to take it back to a world, I guess, to the 1950s. I guess that's where they want us to be. And they claim that they want to get to a space in Texas where we're colorblind. Well, hell, we haven't gotten there yet.
Right. I mean, can they please, I really would appreciate if one of these white Republicans can pinpoint me the exact day, time, and month when we hired in America and it was all equal, colorblind, merit-based. By all means, can you show me when that actually happened? I dare say that since the Civil Rights Act of 65, since the Voting Rights Act, 64 Civil Rights Act, 65 Voting Rights Act, 68 Fair Housing Act, I dare say since we have those bills, we are more merit-based than we ever have been, because before, it damn sure wasn't the case.
No, I mean, that's right. And and I know when you say quotas, people get a little bit offended about that, and they think, well, we're not there. Well, we've never had quotas to begin with. But if we're truly in a colorblind society where we want to say that it's merit-based, listen, there's a lot of Black young men and young women, Hispanic young men and young women that can do the work just as well as their white counterparts. Then let's have 40% in that building be Latino. Let's have 13% be African American. But that's not the case. 2 African American men are executive directors, 2 Latino men, 10 women out of the 135 executive agencies in the state of Texas.
10 white women, right?
10 white women, that's right.
Right, there you go.
That's right. So let's be clear. Out of 4 people of color out of those positions, when we are a minority state.
61% of Texas are people of color.
That's right. 61% are people of color. And these guys want to tell us that we live in a colorblind world, or they want to get us to a colorblind world. Hell, in that room that I was in, there's about 8 Confederates on the wall.
Boom.
How do we move on with, Robert E. Lee on the wall or somebody that looks like him?
Well, when I was there, I did a whole video. I live streamed it of that big old Confederate memorial that's sitting right there on the lawn. And luckily across the lawn, they finally had a memorial point for African Americans. But that massive monument. See, this is the thing what grates on me when these conversations are held is that Democrats want to shy away from it. What you did is you put it in the face. Now, the only thing, this is the only criticism I have, Senator. This is the only criticism I have. And trust me, I know why. I know it happens naturally, and now this has happened for years. What happens is when we have these conversations, we often use the qualifier qualified. See, they only use that word when it applies to us. But when it comes to any of them getting hired, they never use the word qualified. So I start from the position that if you are considered for the job, that you are qualified. If you got hired, you are qualified. So I don't even use it. I don't even say, hey, we're looking for qualified. Well, that's just automatic. Of course we're looking for qualified. But they never do that. They automatically assume if they got the job, they white, they qualified. We don't even question their resume. And I'm still ticked off with that black woman who was crying over the water, we showed it on the video, and she was crying because of another black legislator came to her defense. But you had that white Republican, Harrison, who literally was questioning this woman on DEI, and she had to sit there and recount how many degrees that she has and what school she went to. And I'm sorry, I just can't accept anymore us having to show our credentials to prove our worthiness when they can just show up.
No, I mean, I'm with you. We are equally as qualified as any of our white counterparts. My parents were immigrants to this country, and yet here I stand in the Texas Senate, a lawyer, just as qualified as the guy I was debating that day. And yet, you know, the jobs that are going, the big jobs in this state are going to white men. Let's face it, because they knew somebody. They knew a guy. Had nothing
Boom!
qualifications.
Call it what it is.
Yeah.
And that's the deal. They knew somebody. And see, I just believe that you just got to call that thing a thing. And it has to be when what you did. You like, so basically, are you trying to explain to me in a state this diverse, 120 white guys, you trying to tell me that out of the whole state, only 4, because you said 2 Latino men, 2 black men, right?
That's right.
So that means that for all these jobs, there wasn't one black woman, wasn't one Latino woman who was eligible. So you had 2 Latino dudes, 2 black dudes, 10 white women. That's 14 out of the whole state. And part of the thing about DEI is forcing you to recruit at different places, to solicit different input, to post a job different places. That's all DEI is. It is to expand your horizon. They want to keep it white, tight, and right.
Well, the very argument that they have is that DEI, this is what Brian Hughes said, that just having these types of diversity, equity, inclusion programs, that just the mere mentioning of them leads us to be racist. It's the most nonsensical thing you've ever heard, because we're nowhere near any kind of colorblind society, not in this state, not in Texas. Just their argument is so flawed, and we have to push back. We as minorities, as Latinos, as African Americans, we've got to push back against what's happening in this state, because we deserve better. And, you know, we've been fighting for people for a long time. We're going to continue to do so.
So I had a black state official from South Carolina who stood up, had him on the show the other day, J.A. Moore. And I asked him this question. I said, well, Rep, I got to ask you, where were the white women? Did they say anything? He's like, no. So they're in Texas. Are white male Democrats, are they as aggressive in this as you are? I know with Senator, I saw Senator Boris Miles, my frat brother, when he spoke on that day when I was there. Are white female Democrats saying something? Because here is the other issue that bothers me. First thing that bothers me, anytime we talk about these programs historically, black folks was the ones sitting here leading the charge. And I've challenged Latinos saying, yo, I'm gonna need you to step up. So then you have black and Latinos stepping up. My problem a lot of times is Asian Americans are real quiet. Pakistani Americans, people who actually benefit from programs, are quiet. But white women benefit more. You already gave the numbers. 10 of them, 2 Latino men, 2 black men. Are white women Democrats? Are they being as vigorous in speaking out against this bill as you are, as Senator Boris Miles, as Senator Royce West?
Well, you know, they're doing their part. But to your point, we
hold up, Senator. Now look, you a straight shooter, and you call them straight. Let's if we gonna do it, Senator, let's go ahead and go there.
Well, Roland,
are the white female Democrats doing enough?
We can always do better. We can always do better. And I'll tell you, this is what's happening right now in Texas. We literally need to get black people and brown people on the same page. And that might sound odd to you, but we're in this thing together.
Yep.
And we've got to fight back against the injustices in Texas. And to your point, white women, we are getting killed in this state on everything.
Yep.
on everything. They are taking our civil liberties away in this state. They are attacking Hispanic communities like you cannot believe. You have a guy that this governor, this white governor, let a guy out of prison, pardoned him. The guy killed a man who was a Black Lives Matter protester. He shot him with his AR-15.
We talked about it.
Point blank. And this sick son of a bitch governor that we have pardons the man, releases him from prison after 4 years. If you and me would have shot somebody, we'd be on death row right now. Let's face it.
Yep.
But some white dude kills a Black Lives Matter.
A racist white dude.
A racist white dude.
Who killed a white guy.
Pardoned. He gets pardoned. And so African Americans in this state and Latinos in this state, they could run this state if they got together and so chose to do so, and so chose to fight against these injustices in this state. I don't know how to wake people up. That's my fault. Well, I don't know how to anger people enough. You know that what happened to me in Uvalde, Texas, happened to those families. Was a wake-up call for me because it changed my whole worldview. I changed my whole worldview for life and what my purpose was. But we got to wake up, Roland, because these people are killing us, and that's not hyperbole. Oh, yeah. Listen, I'm a native of Houston. My parents are natives of Houston. My grandparents, maternal grandparents, migrated from Louisiana to Houston in the 30s. My paternal folks are from Texas, roots going to East Texas. And so although I work here, my homestead is still there in southern Dallas County. I go home to vote. Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, I'm a constituent of hers. And here's the thing. I was there in Houston, working at the Houston Defender as an intern in 1990, when you had African American Latinos who were fighting over who was going to be the police chief. And then I've seen the fire chief battles. I was there in Dallas when they were battling over the school district. One of the reasons why the Texas Education Agency took over the Houston Independent School District, because Latinos on the Houston School Board were trying to freeze out black folks. That infighting led to the TEA takeover right now, the largest school district in a country taken over by the state. And so you're absolutely right. But I think two things have to happen. I think there has to be, and this is just somebody from the outside, I think there has to be an internal Latino conversation because, and I've got Paola Ramos, a bunch of other books. John Leguizamo has talked about this here. You have some Latinos who identify as white and who don't identify as brown, who are about assimilation. So you got to have that internal conversation. And then the twofer conversation, and I believe there needs to be real town halls around the state, and I will be happy to come back, moderate them, broadcast them, do whatever. Well, we got to put black folks and Latinos in the room together and say, yo, the numbers are there if we actually align, but trust me, we ain't in power if we are sitting here fighting one another. And why MAGA Republicans in Texas, Greg Abbott, Dan Patrick, are destroying the future for our nieces and nephews and our children. And it's going to be a screwed up future if we do not align. No, that's right. And I'll give you a third point about the Latino conversation. We have a lot of young men that are switching to the other side to vote for this MAGA agenda. I would hope that by now what people are seeing with this man is that they're seeing that they were wrong, first off. And it's okay. You can come back into the fold. We certainly need you so that's an internal Latino conversation. But I think that the bigger point here is those same executive position jobs. Just imagine if you had people of color running this state. Six-figure jobs that changes families and lineage. Now you're talking about power. Now you're talking about going from those positions, running for higher office. It changes the entire ball game. And that's why I'm fighting all these federal firings, because 20% of the federal government black.
10% of the corporate workforce white. We couldn't get corporate jobs, so we looked to the federal government. When they slash the federal jobs, you are slashing black wealth, because that's the place where you have more black people with six-figure salaries. And so this thing is way deeper than folks get. And so listen, I'm going to have my producers give you my cell phone. I was talking to Representative Tellerico. I'm totally opposed to that voucher scam. I'm a school choice supporter, but that's an absolute scam. It's happening there. But thank you for speaking directly to these white Republicans and putting the numbers on the table to force them to have to face it, because he looked like a deer in headlights when you hit him with those numbers, and he was just blah, blah, blah. He didn't know what to say.
Roland, thank you very much. I appreciate what you've done, not just for this state, but for this country. We've got to keep fighting back. We've got to keep fighting back together, and we've got to wake some people up and get them to vote, because that's our AR-15. That's our gun, is that vote. And we can change the world if we can get people to do that in the right way.
2.1 million eligible Latinos in Texas are unregistered, and Texas has the largest number of eligible black voters of any state in America. But what I keep saying, we got to get them registered, and then we got to get them voting at 70% capacity in order to win. So, Senator, I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, my friend.
Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. Listen to what I'm about to tell you. The window to invest in Fanbase is closing. We've raised over $10.6 million of our $17 million goal. That means there's room for less than 6,370 people to invest in Fanbase for the average amount. The minimum to invest in Fanbase right now is $399. That makes you an owner in Fanbase today. Go to startengine.com/fanbase to invest. Why? Because current social apps have taken advantage of users for far too long, with content suppression, shadow banning, harmful racist content, and no real tools for monetization and equity. Fanbase has over 1.4 million users and counting, allowing anyone to reach all their following and monetize their content from day one. Social media is the new TV, and whoever owns the apps that distribute that content have the opportunity to own potential billion-dollar companies. While big platforms with uncertain futures are failing to serve their users, Fanbase is stepping up to fill the gap. Don't wait until it's too late. Invest now, invest for yourself and your future. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and own the next generation of social media.